last question I had was just to talk to the viewers about death and dying, because I think people get the idea, oh, I'm going to have a chicken coop, I'm going to have eggs, I'm going to, this is going to be so nice. And, unless you grew up in a farm, they're probably not mentally, psychologically prepared for just death and dealing with it. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So I worked as a clinical vet for some time in mixed animal clinics, and so I'm familiar with this. I always, when people call me and they have a problem, they want to just discuss how they should address it. One of my first questions is usually, let's see, I used to say, how many chickens do you have, or how many of what species do you have? And now I kind of just say, do your birds have names? Because believe it or not, it really divides groups. I mean, there are people who have only 10 chickens, but they think of them as commodity items. And there are people who have 10 chickens and each one has a name and is a valuable member of their household. And those are really different situations. And so, and I want to respect both of them. I think that it's good to begin with the end in mind when you start something like a flock. And so if you have kids, for instance, and you're thinking, yeah, it'd be really nice to have a few eggs, but I don't really care. But I want my kids to have the experience of raising animals and being responsible for them and getting to know them. And it's kind of fun. And I think they're cute. That's, again, that's really cool. And that's great. You need to know as you get started that birds have a long lifespan, and that some poultry species and some individuals can live up into the teens. It's not that common, but it definitely can happen and does. But that there are also breeds that are kind of bred and designed kind of for a very short lifespan, explosive growth within 4 to 6 months to maturity, and then slaughter for food. So, and then there are breeds somewhere in the middle that are just kind of designed or selectively bred over time to live for a few years and be highly productive in terms of, for instance, laying eggs. And then usually the flock is dispersed, and that may mean, usually it means that they are sold on what they call a live bird market. And someone who has the intention of using them to make soup or something like that will buy them in large groups at auction. So all those things are realities. Also, most families who have other pets have a companion animal vet that they know and that knows them, and probably knows their dog and cat or their gerbil or whatever. Those vets can be really helpful because they usually also have had at least some training with poultry, and they may or may not be willing to help you, but you could have a talk with them. You go in to get your dog's vaccination and you go, hey, I am actually thinking about getting 6 birds because my kids are really interested and I'd like to have a few eggs, blah, blah, blah. Can you give me a little, like if I had a problem with them, should I bring them into you? What service might you want to provide? And maybe when my kids go off to college or when we all change our minds or something goes wrong, we might want to have some of them put to sleep. Would you be willing to do that? So have those conversations and have those conversations maybe with your family, because, it does bring around that topic in a more socially acceptable way, and it might get people to think about those things without it being overwhelming. I'm a person who feels like a kind euthanasia is infinitely preferable to starvation or a difficult death.
Being pecked to death.
Yeah. Birds are hard on each other. So I just think that it's good to have that conversation, to think about that. So anyway, that said, I have 4 geriatric hens. I don't know what I'm going to do with them because I don't want to put them to sleep, but they're all healthy, so life is good, right?
I've often thought that if I had chickens, I'd give them names like chicken curry, chicken soup, chicken stir fry.
I know. I mean, I am a meat eater. I am not a vegan. I respect being vegan, and I think it's kind of wonderful, but I'm not one. I'm not even vegetarian. So, and we eat eggs from our geriatric hens when they give them to us. But anyway, but it's a
All
good
right.
topic. It's a good topic to bring up.
Well, it's the other
Very good
thing,
topic.
I think you mentioned the previous discussion where you were talking about abattoir, and we didn't
Yeah.
unpack that at all because our viewers might not know about that. So, I
Mhm.
mean, my understanding of what an abattoir is, it's a place where they kill your animals for you, sort of thing. Um,
Yeah.
so maybe you can explain that to people. Let's say I've got some chickens and
Mhm.
I want to eat them,
Mhm.
but I don't know how to deal with them, and
Sure.
maybe I don't want to deal with them. I just want to hand them to is there a place you can take a chicken and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
turn
Well,
they they turn it into
yeah.
a chicken that's ready to eat.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
we all live in different microclimates, so to speak, in our
Yes.
little. I mean, we're up here in the Northeast, and so there are a lot of small towns. And like Maine, we have like 1.3 million people in the whole state, which is not a lot.
Yeah.
But so there aren't big concentrations of services in one or two places unless you're right down there in Portland. So there are a number of these services throughout the state, and you can find them in your region. And so they usually cater sometimes to hunters. And so that's another avenue for finding those sources and those services. Um, in the United States, some of them are inspected by the United States Department of Agriculture, and I'm sure the Canadian system has, and I'm just not highly familiar with how that works
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
your system. But that can be good. Those are more expensive for those services, those abattoirs are more expensive to run
Mhm.
just because of the training and setup requirements. But you can feel pretty assured of the ability of those people to um, take care of the animals and to determine whether or not they're safe to eat.
Uh,
And that can be helpful because there are some things that make meat unsafe to eat. And how you handle meat can make it unsafe to eat. So it's pretty important that you have trust in the service that you're using.
right.
Um, there are also ways to learn to do it yourself. And especially for the home producer, a lot of people do it themselves.
Right.
I think again, extension may be a great way to connect with some of that. I think here at University of Maine, we've got some of our extension people who mostly work in the area of food safety,
Mhm.
and some of my colleagues in animal vet science and extension who are interested in basically helping people understand how to butcher their own, livestock should they
Right.
want to do that. There are meat cutting schools and things like that too. And any culinary institute would probably have a lot of regional information for you about the, availability of abattoirs. But the idea of the abattoir is that they euthanize the animal, that you hope most of them are going to adhere to animal welfare rules and regulations. And there are a bunch more of those than there used to be. So the method of euthanasia should be swift and painless. And
Right.
so, that's, again, that you want to look into the place that you choose to use. And you want to make sure that you have the ability to do that. In the United States, we use the American Veterinary Medical Association, AVMA, has an online guide to euthanasia of lots of different kinds of animals. And
Hmm.
that's available to anybody. Anybody can access that. And they talk about ways they're considered okay for you to euthanize a bird.
Ah,
And they're quite specific about it. And so you can access that again, you can get that online.
okay.
But certainly the old methods of decapitation are still considered okay
Okay.
if you're good at it. And
Yeah.
and again, when you're having that conversation with your family about, how's this going to go, you say you want to raise, if it's legal in your area or your town, you want to raise 50 broiler chickens, and then there's going to come a time when you're going to be harvesting them, and you got to be mentally and physically ready in
Yeah.
terms of what you have available.
Yeah.
And or you're going to have a big mess on your hands,
That's
and
a
you
long
don't.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine.
So that might be enough said about that. But I just want to let you know that, again, extension might be a good resource for finding more information, and usually that's readily available to you online.
All right, great.